Hello, happy Monday, everybody. Dignified Hospitality. Today we are celebrating bartenders and servers. Just to let you guys all know, if you are a bartender or a server, especially if you have been dealing with, you know, your work, opening, reclosing, trying to navigate what's going on, I'd love to invite you all to come and join me today. You can join live. The link is here. You can see it bit.ly/tletteaparty. Please join the fun. Yes, it is tea time. I gotta make sure everybody knows it's tea time. Just enjoying my cocktail here on Instagram. All right, so I am just going to be letting people come in as they like, and the link, of course, is bit.ly/tletteaparty. This is an open forum. If you feel so compelled to join, please join bit.ly/tletteaparty. Here we go. Just getting everything shared. Who's here? Hey, how you like my daiquiri? It's nice, yeah. I'm celebrating bartenders today, so I thought I'd have a nice cocktail instead of my typical tea time that I'm usually doing. I will be giving some updates on what's going on. Let me just delete this and grab the link for this. Everything shared. I want to make sure I just joined this cool new group on Facebook called Vegas Bartenders and bartenders and servers. So I want to go share this video and make sure that they feel welcomed to join. Okay, I'm all shared. A little bit more work today. If no one comes, no one comes. It's fine. I have plenty of stuff to talk about. Specifically, in the past week, there has been a lot of developments of various states, entire states, that are having to shut down their dining services or bars. You know, it's different all over the place. Each state is handling the pandemic differently. And here in Las Vegas, it's or in the state of Nevada, it's being handled in a very interesting way, very selectively, of you know, who's going to be held accountable for you know, protecting the public. And here in Nevada, the bars, you know, have been held pretty accountable for this. And so I wanted to invite staff of bars, servers at restaurants, to talk about this. You know, maybe not specifically about how unfair Nevada is being about how it's handling its pandemic and how confusing it's handling its pandemic, but you know, really in harmony with what I've been wanting to do with this entire series, this entire Dignified Hospitality series, is that we have to pave like a new path for the future, regardless of pandemic. So maybe pandemic and all of this pain that the industry is going through right now in this moment is all, maybe accelerating this conversation. But just full transparency, I've been having this conversation for years now. This is not new for me, discussing how important food is, how important hospitality is, and how we really do need to serve the people of that value chain with dignity. It's really important, and I feel like I'm in a unique position to be hosting this conversation and to be, having these conversations because I don't work in the service industry directly myself. My business services the service industry. We import fine quality teas, some of the, finest teas in mass, and supplying it wholesale. So a lot of our clients are servicing restaurants, servicing bars. Bars have actually become the biggest point of growth in my client's business. Just the interest in new, interesting cocktails that are different and interesting and intriguing. And tea has just been kind of this new unexplored territory that has been growing quickly for my clients. But now with what's going on, it definitely has put a big stress on how things are going. I love working with bartenders. They're probably like my favorite people to work with on tea projects because you guys, please join. If you want to join in, this is casual, this is comfortable, this is my tea table. I'm just going to be drinking some tea. If you're watching on Instagram, I'm drinking, it looks like a strawberry daiquiri. I'm definitely drinking a nice strawberry daiquiri there. But I want to talk about this experience and what's being processed out of this experience of how we can empower hospitality, because that's just going to be such a heartbreak. So last week when I was talking, Yelp, I was looking over an article that Yelp put out that said that 53% of the restaurants in their database, in the Yelp database, 53% of them are permanently closed now from March until middle of June. So this data is actually from the middle of June. So now we're already in the middle of July. It's already a month-old data. So can only imagine even more restaurants having permanently closed, especially due to reclosing, And so I want to talk to somebody that has firsthand experience of what that's like. What is it like to reopen? What is the new normal everybody was talking about? And then, hi, good to see you. What's the new normal and how has that affected, the whole experience of service? Maybe not from the consumer point of view, but from your point of view, from the server's point of view. As an organization, how are things running? Are things different? And I welcome all types of opinions on that. This is just a casual place, so if you want to come and just vent, I welcome that. But I do say that venting and all these things are not so productive. So inevitably, I'm going to be asking questions about how to pave the path forward. And so that's the whole point of this, is Dignified Hospitality Manifesto. And I have been addressing different communities within the hospitality world. Right now, the one that's like in the forefront that we keep reading about and hearing about are service employees. So within the entire U.S. food system, like restaurant network, business and supply chain, value chain of restaurants, which includes the bartenders, the servers, the cooks, the chefs. We got Tom here. Hi, Tom. Hopefully your camera is on. If it's not on, then I'm going to ask you to put it on. Hi, Tom. Thank you for coming, Tom. You want to put your mic on and your camera on? I want to know who you are, Tom. You want to talk with me? Please, let's chat. If not, I am going to remove you from the room. It's cool. All are welcome. Yeah, Tom, if you just want to listen, you can just listen to the stream. You came here. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your story. All right, Tom, you can try to figure that stuff out. I am going to remove you. Ask to start video. Maybe that'll help. Nope, that didn't help. All right, Tom, I'm going to remove you. I'm so sorry. Try to come back. Have your camera on. I'd love to hear your story. All right, you're back with me again. So yeah, that entire value chain, it includes also the farmers, it includes all of the middlemen. That's even companies like me, people like me that train staff and introduce new products and do that type of work. There's 20 million people in the US alone that are a part of that. And so that doesn't even count all the millions of people, I mean hundreds of millions of people that are a part of the supply chain of international commodities, tea specifically, right? You know, so I work with tea and always talking about tea and all of the workers in the supply chain of tea. But, you know, so if 53% of all the restaurants in this country are permanently closed, that's 53%, maybe, you know, I don't know if that, hi Amanda, good to see you. I don't know if that directly translates to 53% of that 20 million people are jobless currently, but maybe, we can just say that. And if they are, you know, they still exist. Their passion for their work still exists. So how can we harness that into something productive? You know, and I'd love to talk about that. I'm going to call out my friend Giuseppe Gonzalez, very famous bartender. I hope one day I can convince him to come on here and chat with me because he has a wealth of knowledge and experience around these topics. Very passionate. And this morning he actually posted something specifically around tipping, which is powerful because that's been a topic of conversation. I think we've talked about it like 3 or 4 times now in this series about how you know, the origins of tipping. Who knows where it comes from? Some people say it comes from slavery, you know, very disrespectful and devaluing form of value exchange. And so, yeah, maybe I won't read all of Giuseppe's post. I'd love to have him come on and talk about. And basically, he's just saying, you know, like there's been this anti-tipping movement, and how productive has that actually been? And that was something I did want to dive into. I had heard that there was an entire restaurant group that converted to all non-tipping and tried to plug in, I think it was a 20% service charge, and actually finding that that's not making the difference that they thought it would. And that makes sense. And a few weeks ago when Stefan was on, he was talking about when a business sees their servers and their bartenders as a salesperson and plugs in the compensation system similarly to how salespeople are usually treated, then it's an incentivizing program, which is a win-win, you know, because it helps the restaurant, because then the server will be incentivized to upsell that bottle of wine or upsell that premium tea experience, whatever it is they're able to upsell at that time. And if there's some type of commission, you know, just like a normal salesperson, you know, they have a commission. You know, if you make a certain amount of sales, then you get a certain bonus. You know, could a restaurant really be set up that way? Sure, any business can be set up any way. You know, you just kind of have to set that intention. Yeah, I'd love to talk with an actual restaurateur or management that has thought about these systems and thought about how they may work. Because it should be all about empowering the server. Servers are like servers, bartenders, cooks. They're artists. They're craftspeople, especially in fine dining, especially in these like heightened elevations. And just a context, I truly believe that the future of hospitality is going to be like very, very elevated. It'll be polarized, either like a really, really high value experience because people are going to be dining less, due to pandemic, due to the budgets, due to whatever. And so that the few times that they do enjoy hospitality, they're really going to enjoy it. And the restaurants that are going to, or the businesses, the bars, whatever, the ones that are going to thrive are going to be the ones that are offering that heightened experience. Well, on the other end of the spectrum is going to be like super convenience. I hope not fast food. That's the work that I want to put in, is to help that system, that side of the spectrum, to be healthier and more distributed and more supporting of the community. So that's street food, right? I'd love to see that end of the spectrum become like neighborhood street food. Oh my gosh, I'd be so excited for that. As of right now, the current food code wouldn't allow that to happen. So there would be some major legislative changes that would need to be implemented for that. But, so that means that, service staff, hospitality staff are going to need to be elevating that experience, be it with more education. So that's a big one. Not just presentation. I think a lot of professionals have been focusing a lot on having like a really over-the-top presentation and vibe. Like so many restaurants in the past couple of years have invested so much of their marketing and so much of their build out towards creating this gotta be here experience that's more about like where you are versus what you're enjoying in that space. Ambiance, yes, exactly. Versus, really looking at the product. Ambiance is key, right? That should just be like foundational. Like, yeah, create that vibe you want, but like don't make that all it is. For here in Las Vegas, that tends to be a big trend on the Strip, is just these like really over the top selfie ready experiences. And maybe the consumer wanted that. I think they did. I used to be an Uber driver, and I used to drive people to their dinner reservations. And when I would hear people kind of talk up their excitement about going, to their reservation, it was always, about the look and about that vibe and ambiance versus like I never hardly heard someone say, oh, they prepare this dish like this, it's special like this, and they use ingredients like this. It's always about like a celebrity name or oh my gosh, I remember one time I was stuck in traffic, terrible traffic from, I think it was the Rock and Roll Marathon, and I picked up these women and they had like 2 hours until their reservation, and I told them about the traffic. I'm like, we're about to get into some very heavy traffic here, and you may miss your reservation. But they insisted they wanted to go to their hotel first because they had to change and they had to get made up and before they went to their reservation. And I thought they looked great. They were super well dressed, and they looked well made up. I couldn't even tell they just got off an airplane. I think they just came from LA, so it was hardly a flight, but they looked ready for a nice dinner. And I said, why don't you just let me go drop you to your reservation? You could probably store your bags, at the front of the hotel and, go enjoy your dinner. But they insisted that they had to change and get made up because it was all about, the photos that they were going to be taking at the restaurant. So needless to say, they missed their reservation. That was a very uncomfortable drive in my car with very anxious women. But I mean, that just says a lot about how much value these women put into just the experience of being in that place. And I don't know if that's going to be as important in the future, because things are going to get more valuable, and hopefully, in my idealistic perspective, will become more opportunity for high quality and more connoisseurship among everybody, even lower middle class or people that consider themselves not worthy of connoisseurship. I think a lot of that's going to change. Because connoisseurship is not necessarily about being rich and having money and collecting things and spending money on things. It's about valuing things. And even if you do that activity a few times a year or once a month or however frequently you're able to within your own standards and budget and everything, it's still technically connoisseurship. And so I hope, if you think about something enough, you manifest it. So that's what I'm working on. So I still haven't had anybody join the room. I would love to see some friends come in, especially if you work in Vegas hospitality. Love to hear the stories. I know Paul from Esther's Kitchen, he was really excited about this, but he's working right now. He's working lunch shift at Esther's, but he says as soon as he's finished with that, he's going to be joining me. I'm still enjoying my cocktail on Instagram. I still haven't had a sip, but it's okay. I'll drink it later. I don't want to get drunk on camera. Yeah, I want to hear, this Vegas bartenders and servers group that I've recently joined. Seems to be a lot of mixed feelings. Just a lot of frustration, which is understandable. And I'd love to to hear, not only about what's going on and all the confusion, but where do you see yourself in the future? I have to think about that for myself, right? And so here I am. I never would have thought that I'd be live streaming and hosting these conversations, but I just felt like that was my place, and I'm working it in. And last time when I was talking with Stefan, we discussed how okay, so there's channeling your passion in an entrepreneurial way and creating your own path, right? And that I fully encourage, and I would love to hear that story. What are your passions, and how might the community or your network of supporters, your network of friends and family, how can they support you in achieving, that goal of self-sufficiency and entrepreneurship? But then there's the other end of the spectrum of maybe this type of work is not going to be as available as it's been in the past, which is good, because then it'll decommodify that experience as well. Because the service industry as an employee is quite a commodified thing now. Such high turnover. It's oh, this person wants to leave, don't worry, we'll just easily be able to hire somebody else in. There's so many jobs, there's so many opportunities to roll around and to work in different environments. But maybe these jobs won't be as available in the future as they have been. And so how to build the confidence to move on into maybe a new path, or just kind of a sidetrack of your path, finding new jobs and having the confidence to put yourself out there and find those opportunities. So there's those two opportunities right there, and I want to focus on those things, and love to talk with someone about where they feel in that spectrum, and especially if there's any type of interest in entrepreneurship or innovation, creating a new path. Lots of articles right now about reclosing and even closing down delivery and takeout service. I know one issue that's happening here in Vegas they specifically identified bars as, a hot spot for the spread of the virus, and so they've closed that down. But then if a bar has a restaurant license, which a lot do here, a lot of the taverns have food, full menus too, nice menus. That's one nice thing about Vegas I love here, is that no matter what time of the day or night, there's always going to be some place to go eat a hot, nice meal with a nice cold beer. But like restaurants or bars that have a restaurant license can stay open. They just can't have the bar open, or the video poker machines open on the bars, typical bars here. And there's confusion because there's a lot of bars that are still open that have restaurant licenses. Of course, there's a lot of opinion that a lot of these bars really aren't a restaurant because they're just serving a bag of chips and a hot dog or something. But as far as I know, the bar itself has to be closed, so they'd have to have like table seating around the bar in order to be in compliance. So these bars that are open, there's a lot of confusion among the community, the consumer, the bar goer, that the bars are open. And so I think I've been seeing a lot of creative marketing of some of these like restaurant taverns of letting the community know that they are in fact open, that you can go in and enjoy a meal. But it's just kind of all over the place. I just went to the water store. This is the third time I've gone to the water store since pandemic has happened. And every single customer in the water store has a mask on, but then every single employee doesn't. I thought that was interesting. And, it's a pretty small space. And, you don't hang out there and talk and socialize with people, but I find it so confusing, that the mask mandate is being taken so seriously in certain contexts, but then in others not. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration is around this mandate, that tends to be a popular opinion among this Vegas bartenders and servers group that, maybe the risk is real, because I think there has been a lot of experience of restaurants and bars that have opened, especially bars, of staff testing positive and even getting sick too, and even dying, but definitely a high rate of testing positive. And so it's like, yeah, we take it seriously, but it's like, if we have to close, why don't the casinos have to close? And, you can read in several different articles claims that restaurants, indoor seating restaurants, are, a place of high infection rate and cause for a lot of the infection. So why not just apply it to everything? But there's a lot of factors at play here, a lot of powerful forces that are involved. Not just, it's not just our politicians, and it's not just the public's opinion too. Like, even though we're in a democracy and the public's opinion is supposed to be premier and the most powerful, and the politicians are supposed to be engaging with the public opinion. They're supposed to be representing that, but it tends that a lot of the influence actually comes from business. And from all of those factors, which have people within them. So there's some validity to why we should listen to them. But that's definitely not the public opinion. Money's a funny thing, I was reading an article about Sweden, right? Because Sweden had no closures. They wanted to go down the other route than everybody else. And at first they were celebrated for that, and everybody was like, why didn't we do that? Sweden's doing just fine. But, regardless of how they're actually responding to pandemic, I'm not going to address that right now, but something that was interesting in the article I read is that their economy is suffering just as much as everybody else's. So I don't know if this whole argument around whether we should shut down or not shut down is actually relevant in the argument that it's bad for our economy. Because our economy is going to be suffering regardless, according to the Sweden story. I don't know. I've heard other stories like Vietnam. I've heard is let me look that up real quick. I know Vietnam had a very good response to the pandemic. When they stayed pretty much open. I mean, yeah, it seems that even their economy had a blow. Yeah. So, opening up our business does not directly, benefit the economy. Maybe it does, but I don't, to automatically assume that that's the case is invalid, because there are other presidents of even Vietnam who didn't have a shutdown. I don't think that they had a shutdown at all, because their response to the pandemic was that they completely, as soon as information was released about the first few cases in Wuhan, so this was even before Chinese New Year, and Chinese New Year was a big cause of the spread of the virus in China and internationally as well, because China hadn't even shut down, probably out of fear of the economy, because Chinese New Year is a big driver in the economy every year. People travel all throughout the country to go back to their home village or their hometown, and gifts are purchased, and meals are prepared, and big parties are had. So it's a big part of their economy, and so perhaps they didn't want to lose out on that. So they didn't elevate their response to the pandemic right away. But in Vietnam, they shut down the country immediately, especially to China. But actually, I think they had shut down to everybody. They didn't want anybody coming in. I think they had a few people that came in from Wuhan, like right before they shut down, and then they shut down right then. Let's see. Change these numbers. Again, you guys, if you are watching and you want to join and talk with me, you have some inspiration, some ideas about how the hospitality industry can become. Yeah, they haven't had any deaths. Oops. They get cases, though. They are having cases. But I think, the top 24, they had 26 cases on March 23rd. So they had some initial cases in February, beginning of February. They had like 6 cases. And then in the beginning of March, they had 26, 2-6. And as far as I can see, 0 deaths. Incredible. Yeah, wow, incredible. Vietnam has done a great job. And they're right next to China. And there is a lot of connection between China and Vietnam, specifically around like industrial trade. So, had they not blocked off their borders, they definitely would have been experiencing a lot more in this pandemic. But they closed down. But they didn't even have to close the country itself. I think face mask culture there is accepted. It's a part of their culture. So I think people were wearing face masks, but restaurants never had to close. Businesses never had to close. But even them, they had economic, downfall due to the pandemic. So I don't think that anybody is going to be immune to the economic disaster of this. It's going to happen regardless if you shut down or don't shut down. And so, trying to be more proactive in dealing with the pandemic could be, I don't know, just it's your decision. but our government has decided it's going to. I'm always reminded of the meme of the the peeing section in the pool. I saw that meme from very early on, that like having some states have lockdown and others not is kind of like that, and now we have it within our own community of like, we've already been on lockdown, and we saw the numbers start to go down, and then you open the lockdown after people have already been pent up and wanting to be out and about. You let them out, and they're really going to go out. But we still have to live, we still have to eat, we still have to thrive, and we still have to express our craft and express our passions. So, rather than, talking about all of these things, I just brought these things up just to provide some context about, how these arguments can be all over the place. So like, let's not worry so much about having those arguments. If you want to have them, you are welcome to. I have them. I contemplate these things and talk with my friends about them. But, I think creating a positive space of talking about innovation and talking about what can be done is good. Let's just talk about immediately how a bar owner can keep maybe not create huge profitable opportunities, because I think that that's just too far-fetched to believe that like you'll be able to turn a switch off somewhere or turn a switch on somewhere and it automatically will just support everything and uplift the situation. But keeping relevant, even marketing opportunities, not just for the business, but also for the people, for the bartenders, for the servers, for the chefs. Maybe there's cool things. I've been seeing some cool things, and I'm actually going to be participating in one of them. So like Secret Burger, which is a local Vegas-based software company that is a marketplace for pop-up dining experiences, has evolved to support restaurants. Now, whether or not this support is financially, helping the restaurants, thrive during this period, I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. But it's serving as like a really good opportunity, selling these meal kits and getting them out into the community and doing like a live cooking demo with your customers is a really incredible way of keeping your story relevant in the community. Even takeout services like that too. I don't know if a whole lot of businesses are making money over delivery service. Although those are the food businesses that are thriving the most. But it's like big centralized systems, like Domino's or I think like Domino's is probably like the biggest winner out of all of this right now. But like big centralized brands that have Chipotle is doing really well, which is cool, and that was all through innovation of activating their community to be able to easier order food from them. But even a restaurant that's not hugely profiting from delivery service is profiting from in a marketing sense and like a relevance and a community building sense. So that can be really powerful. Now, how do we do that to better support the people versus just the restaurant's brand? Because as we know, service industry, the people in the service industry are such a commodity that when we're promoting a brand, when we're promoting a business, we're not necessarily promoting the people. Even like the head chefs, like I have friends that are chefing at some place, and they build a brand for themselves as a chef and also building the brand for the restaurant. And when I first got involved in this business 5-6 years ago of servicing hospitality, not of tea. I've been in tea much longer, but serving hospitality specifically. I would always like attach the brand of the restaurant to the chef, and it was like they needed to be together. But then over the years, I've come to learn that chefs are constantly, they'll move somewhere else, no problem, and um, all of that brand loyalty that they built for the restaurant kind of, it doesn't always, but it kind of stays with the restaurant and doesn't always move with the chef. I think chefs of all positions in hospitality have like the most likelihood of building brands for themselves and building dignity for themselves. But why the heck not a bartender? Why not, a server? Lifelong servers that do an incredible job and make people incredibly happy. And, the good customers will see that and they'll respect that, and they'll specifically ask for somebody to serve them because the experience of going to that restaurant is not just the restaurant, but it's also with that server. And I think our friend Paul from Esther's Kitchen is an example of that. He's always telling me that the people come to Esther's. Esther's is very much known for its food, very much known for its ambiance, and like just the overall vibe. It's so casual and like airy there. Just feels very comfortable. But Paul tells me that a lot of his regular customers will tell him, hey, we come for the food, yes, but we really come for you, for holding that space. So I think that we could play on that a little bit more, of building brand and value and respect for the people actually working in these organizations versus the organization itself. If not, we get bailouts for the restaurant. That's great for the restaurant, but is that really going to be like ultimately trickling down to all the people within the restaurant? Maybe. Probably not, though, because that restaurant will be just like focusing on keeping itself going. It's an organization. It's going to focus on keeping itself going. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how any business should be operating. But like, I don't have any staff right now. I've had in the past, and maybe in the future I will again. I really specifically like to build my business as this like distributed system where my business can do the functions of a very large multinational corporation without owning all the pieces, because that's always been the case. The only way that you can build a successful corporation like that is if you own everything. And so Starbucks is a really good example of that. Starbucks owns everything from the service point to the value chain to even the farms now. They're owning everything along that. And that is ideal if you're trying to build an empire and not caring about anything else. But what we've come to learn now, and perhaps one of the reasons why we're even dealing with this pandemic, at least, to the degree that we are now, is that high centralization of power and influence and wealth and ownership, property ownership, allows for opaque decisions to be made, non-capitalistic decisions to be made. Capitalism is, defined as like, it's almost like justice. It's like a value for value exchange. But when things are opaque, when there's information that's not being revealed about, the true cost of something or the true value of something, then it's not true capitalism. And that has led to our friggin' environmental disaster. Hi, Jake. Good to see you. How do you like my cocktail? I'm celebrating bartenders today, so I figured I'd sit down here with a cocktail. Not really, but kind of. But when I did have staff, and when I do have staff into the future, what I would like to do is not only like think about a fair value exchange with them. Aloha, yeah, that's a good way to put it. not just a fair value exchange for the work and the value that is occurring during that employment. So paying a good wage, providing good skill building and career building, but also thinking about your interaction, your value exchange with that person is going to go far beyond just that employment, just that, like even if someone's not working for you still, they can still be serving you and serving your brand by like talking highly about that experience that they've had with you. And in the other way, you can serve them even far beyond the time that they're employed or, interacting in that value exchange with you through employment, through experience and through influence. And so, I always told my employees in the past that they should use their experience with TLET for themselves, for their own marketing. And they do to now, regardless of whatever the situation is. I still see, hey Joshua, I still see, people talking about their skills that they've learned, experiences that they've had here. And so I think that can be the same thing in a restaurant, that, your time working behind the bar or serving could be building a brand for yourself and building an opportunity and influence for yourself that, perhaps you'll build your own business from there, or, your own opportunity. I know that's kind of a taboo thing. I talk with my friends, in coffee roasting. That's a big place that this happens. Baristas and coffee roasters a lot of times have visions of like developing their own business and doing things on their own terms the way that they want to, but they wouldn't dare communicate that vision or that desire with their boss out of fear that, and it's kind of silly because, these positions are already so commodified anyway. We shouldn't be worried about that. We shouldn't be worried about what our boss, because our boss is already going to be thinking, well, I guess that could create resentment of like, oh, this person's already counting the days that they're going to be leaving me. And this shouldn't be like that. That conversation between a boss and employee shouldn't be that way. Like that conversation should be happening where, the employee talks to their boss about their visions, about their dreams, about what they want to do. And the boss can hold space for that conversation and say, okay, what can we do now to help you with that? Like, what skills do you want to learn now to help you accomplish that dream? Versus this fear of like, oh shoot, they're already thinking about leaving. I've got to already think about replacing them. Like, that's silly. You can talk about your dreams without it being this urgent thing of like, well, I'm quitting tomorrow to do it. Like, no, I'm just like setting the intention of developing those skills, and in doing that, they're going to become like a far superior employee in the now and provide a better service and a better value in the now. And when the time comes, when it is time, then yeah, okay, it's time to go. I'm ready to go. Someone says, sadly in America, a good boss is a good manipulator. Yeah, you're right. And so that needs to change too. Management needs to change to become more empowering. We just need consciousness to evolve. Yes, more tea. Drink more tea. And that's what it's ultimately about. Serve conscious. That was Stefan's podcast. He came onto this segment a few weeks ago. He's got a podcast called Serve Conscious. And, a lot of his language is directly targeted towards servers or people working within the service environment, and encouraging them to take their own initiative and their own responsibility in bringing consciousness to their work. But this particular conversation we're having right now is, more about talking about management, about the boss becoming more conscious. But this is deeply rooted. It's like the higher up in influence and power someone becomes, the more disconnected from the need for consciousness they become. And it's even worse on the very high executive corporate level, which is what I'm trying to influence in my work. I've been working on this for years and years and years, trying to influence people on that level of power to see the value and being conscious that actually serves you better. It serves you better in the end. Maybe now you feel like, oh, I can't be vulnerable. No one can see me vulnerable. This wouldn't be good. Or my business can't be seen vulnerable. It's just not good. And it's like, bullshit. Be a little vulnerable. Be real. Be human. Have a heart. Let your heart guide you. And by serving your employees, by serving your community, like in the case of corporate leaders, by not being opaque, by being more honest and being more thoughtful of how your actions affect other people and the environments and whatnot, then it's going to serve you better because it'll be more sustainable. You might have to wait longer for it. Some of these things, though, you don't have to wait that long. Like climate change, policy changes, like, okay, yeah, that you have to wait long. That we are demanding that these, oh, that's interesting. Sorry about that, guys. I'm here. Yeah, for some reason my Zoom room closed. I'll open back up. So yeah, if you guys still want to come, I am still open. You can still come to this link. It's up here. bit.ly/TLIT Tea Party. It's as if my my Zoom account was discontinued. Oh well. Anyway, we're still here. Yeah, but some of these, like climate change, right? We're asking companies to make huge shifts in what they're doing, and there'll be big upfront investments and big vulnerabilities that will take years and years and years for it to turn around and finally serve those companies. So that is a long lead type of a thing. But some of these changes of bringing consciousness to how we manage and how we run business, some of those changes that are needed are going to require very little vulnerability, and the benefits will come a lot sooner than you may think. But so people are afraid of change. They feel insecure that making a change will drastically affect their power situation. But right now with the pandemic, there's so much that has just been lifted up and pulled out from under us. I feel like this is a really good opportunity for us to have these conversations, and not for these conversations to be taboo. In the first friggin' 7 years of building this business, all of these subjects were so friggin' taboo. And people say, oh, you're shaking the tree too much. Stop doing that. Things are working a certain way for a reason, and we need to hold space for that because there's millions of people involved, millions of jobs involved, and now all those millions of jobs just gone or questionable or insecure. And I was like, okay, so now this is maybe a good time to reevaluate what's going on. That's funny. So Mr. Reed T says, yeah, the corporate level has CEOs take psychiatric evaluations before being given the job, and many of them are literally narcissists, and I'm sure the evaluations show this. It's true, and that serves the business. That serves the shareholders. I mean, I'm assuming that would be... I've never heard of these psychiatric evaluations of CEOs. I mean, I'm a CEO, but I'm my own business CEO, so I can, But I'd imagine a big Fortune 500 company or something that's hiring a new CEO would want to have some psychiatric evaluation, and having being being a sociopath basically is advantageous because it means that you can easily make decisions disregarding other people. So yeah, if you're a corporate CEO, you're probably a sociopath. If you're a successful corporate CEO. Because the ones that aren't sociopaths, the ones that are like following with their heart and following with their true moral compass, they won't succeed, because they'll stand up for what they believe in, or if they see something that's corrupt or not balanced, they'll stand up for it. So you kind of got to be willing to bite your tongue, or whatever you want to call it, when it comes to those kinds of decisions. Or most ideally, not even have to bite the tongue. Like, you're so delusional that this decision that's being made is for the best of everybody and everything, that you can just continuously make these very harmful decisions for the environment and for the world. And your own employees, too. I mean, that's what's really sad. Like, it's understandable, but not permissible. It's not good. It's still bad, and we still need to work on fixing this corruption. But, like, marginalization of people by, corporate decisions that happen, like, far away to, like, communities that, like, we'll never see or ever meet or ever interact with, like, that's pretty understandable how people can get lost in bad decisions in that way. But then, when marginalization happens within your own organization with people that, like, you see and interact with on a daily, so, like, let's say, for example, in the restaurant industry, to a certain degree, service workers are marginalized. And they're right there. And it's like, it's very obvious that they're adding value to your organization. You see them, you interact with them, yet you can still make decisions that marginalize them, that, like, downgrade their pursuit of happiness and dignity in order to, achieve this, better outcome on your balance sheet, or, whatever. So, yeah, it's interesting. Love my cocktail. I've been using, like, filters on my Instagram when I go Instagram Live, which the video just ended. It's been on for an hour, but I use all these filters, and the one I used today was pretty funny. I'm, like, sitting with, like, a strawberry daiquiri on the beach. Yeah, so bringing consciousness, that's first and foremost. And in the case of here in Nevada, with the bad decisions, the confusing, I shouldn't call them bad decisions. Yeah, they're bad, but they're, like, ultimately end up being confusing for the public. If there was more consciousness to those decisions, then, we would be in a much better place, where, yeah, I don't even know. I couldn't even imagine being a politician right now. All the different pressures from different directions, and maybe if you even did have, like, a really great idea about how things could be improved, that idea may not fly with, the powers that be. So we need to bring consciousness to our government as well. I have for so many years been putting so much of the pressure of this consciousness onto industry, onto business, which I still believe is the most important, because corporations are, like, the most powerful institution ever built by man, even more than any government or anything like that. Corporations are super powerful, and then they get to behave like people, and their wants and desires are addressed just like people's are. Their rights and value is treated just like people. Government is different. But lately, I have been realizing that more responsibility does need to go onto the government to stand up, for what they originally made their oath of, which is to protect the Constitution. Which I do a Constitution study group on Wednesdays during the same live session. So if you're interested in beefing up your constitutional, awareness, join on Wednesdays. It's just like this. I read. Right now, I'm on the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers, looking at how, the Founding Fathers had addressed, the different topics that became the basis of the Constitution. Mr. Reed T., where are you based? I'll look you up. I don't know if this is you, but this is cool. A self-proclaimed anti-coffeeist seeks to eliminate all coffee at AHS. Is this you? In Pennsylvania. This is cool. I don't know if this is you, but this is a cool story. I'm not anti-coffee. I do enjoy coffee, but I, of course, like tea better. Oh, it's not you? Oh, that's funny. But you don't drink coffee. That's cool. I respect that. Maybe if I just go to YouTube, I can see your profile. Thanks for joining, by the way. Is this your first time to join the live stream? I do this every Monday. And today I really was trying to get some hospitality staff from here in Las Vegas to come on and chat. But I can't see your profile. Well, thank you for interacting, Mr. Reed T. I appreciate you. Yeah, I do these every day since the beginning of the pandemic. I've started doing live videos on weekdays only. At first I was doing it every day, but now I just do it weekdays to give myself a weekend off to go enjoy the hiking or just relaxing, being lazy for a second. But this is like a thought leadership platform. So I have different tea education topics, usually on Tuesdays and Fridays. It's on tea education, and then Mondays is this conversation about how to bring dignity to the hospitality industry. I feel like it's a urgent need right now, and I don't have all the answers. But there's Paul. Hopefully Paul's ready. Paul, join in. Join the fun. I want to chat with you. I'll be successful if I get one person to come on and chat with me. I joined this Facebook group called Vegas Bartenders and Servers, and I was just hearing a lot of back and forth, not hearing but reading, a lot of back and forth about the confusion of what's going on with the bar shutdown. So here in Nevada, certain counties had to shut down bars, and bars only. So bars that have restaurant licenses and table seating could still stay open, but bars that were just a bar, a gaming bar, have closed. And so it's a lot of people that had gone back to work for the month and now are confused about why just bars, not the restaurants, not the casinos. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to provide this space to talk about that, but no one's come on. That's fine. Maybe Paul will come on. He can chat about his experience. He's still working. He's at Esther's, which they have a bar, so they probably had to close that seating off, but they have lots of seating area. It's a very popular restaurant. Very popular here in Vegas. If you ever come through Vegas, you definitely should try Esther's Kitchen. It is probably the top popular like local spot. We have several nice restaurants here, mostly on the Strip, with celebrity chefs and big names from LA or New York. But Esther's is definitely very homey and comfy neighborhood spot. Really good, kind of homemade California Italian. And they have a good bar program as well, and wine program. That's what Paul helps them out with their wine. But I've been chatting, about a lot of these topics with Paul and getting some ideas from him. How could that be employed? So I'm big into distributing this industry. I'm big into distributing everything. I think that's the way that we could bring consciousness and dignity if we just disempowered the centralized system and put the power back into the community, into the distributed network of the actual value creators. And so in food, the easiest example to think of that is street food. So, even somebody out of their own home kitchen, would be able to, cook up a big something and, have a stall on the street somewhere, even in their local neighborhood, and sell affordable, healthy food to their local community. So that's extremely valuable. Currently right now that value is being provided by friggin' McDonald's, which is terrible for so many reasons. We could talk all day why that's a bad idea and why we need to change that. So the idea of street food could be a very powerful tool for distributing that value. But then how could we apply that to bartending? Oh, Paul is here. How could that work? Pop-up bar experiences, or that'd be cool, a trend of at home. Hi, Paul. There we go. How you doing? How was your shift today? You still working out your audio? Oh, you'll get on. I like your mask.
Oh, I'll just do that.
Yeah,
Hello?
you're on. Yep, you're on. Good to see you, Paul.
I'm not the most tech savvy. I'm here in the Arts District, and I just walked outside for a minute.
Okay. Looks hot.
Oh, yeah, it's warm. It's 115, but it's just noisy everywhere. There's music in the dining room. They're actually filming a music video in the alleyway.
That's cool.
Yeah, how's it going? So you guys been talking about hospitality stuff?
I have been, yeah. Unfortunately, no one came on. I did have quite a few viewers. I posted it to the Vegas bartender and servers group. So I think it got a couple of viewers on, and so I was just talking. You're the first guest. Someone tried to come on, but they didn't turn their camera or mic on, so I don't know if they were having. Yeah, but you're here. How was your shift today?
It's still going on. I'm still working. This is great. I do office work on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I get to do planning for my wine menu and try to make some smart buying decisions. There's a lot of suppliers that are closing wine out, and I have to just make very intelligent wine decisions right now. I can't buy expensive stuff. I have to keep the costs down, and labor is higher and sales are down, but we're doing a lot of the right stuff, so it's going good. I'm standing right behind Cornish Pasties right there. Yeah. They just closed yesterday.
Yeah, I heard.
So it's pretty wild. It's crazy how fast that can happen.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast. I mean, what if that happened at Esther's? Do you guys have a contingency plan in place that you've had to write up, or?
Not really. We're gonna try to not get it. Here you can see the list on there. There we go.
What's it say? It just explains. Oh, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I see. Yeah, so this is a restaurant that's had to close due to an employee testing positive
Yeah, so I think it's basically how it works is if anybody at the restaurant comes down with it, they have to. It's like a government mandated. Everyone has to go get tested, and then you got to close down and do a deep clean. And I guess you're able to reopen again, but I don't know. It's also not that clear how the reopening works after that. So our goal is to just not get closed down. So we have showing up in masks and just washing our hands religiously and using a lot of sanitizer and wiping tables down really good. And we're just still kind of doing the same speed of service we were doing, but just extra cognizant. But at the end of the day, like, it's still a risk to go out to a restaurant. There's that scale of 1 to 10 as far as likelihood of catching COVID. I think it's in the 6 risk factor, right? I don't know, I'm outside of Vesta. I might just sit here for a second. So if you saw, there's a lot of new news in California today. So you are able to dine on a patio only. All indoor dining is done. All bars are shut down. So yeah, California's gotten really locked down. But so the thought is restaurants could be next. But in this city, it might be a little bit different. So I really have a feeling like our mayor and our governor will have a fight, and the mayor's not going to want restaurants to close, if that's even what the common thing is. But the backlash from closing just the bars is so intense in the city right now that I don't think it's that likely that restaurants are going to close in Vegas. I think they might close in other states, but they're going to stay open here for a while. And it's up to the restaurant to just be as safe as they can be. Because at the end of the day, I think that restaurants are doing a very community-oriented service that is kind of essential. I think that most people they don't have the tools nowadays to just always cook every meal for themselves. Like, people are kind of used to going out, and of course we got to adapt. But that business lunch needs to happen, or that person you haven't seen in a while. Maybe a restaurant that is safe, that has all the tables spaced apart, still needs to exist. And it still is a risk to go out, but it's a risk you're willing to take. As long as the staff are all masked up and washing their hands and doing what they can, I think that's all you can do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyone can get shut down at any moment. But I think that a lot of people are actually rooting for Esther's. They want Esther's to stay open, and we're doing our best to just keep it running. So it's kind of interesting that this mask that the Chamber of Commerce for Vegas gave us, it says, stay safe, stay open. And it's the Battle-Born Nevada. So it's kind of cool the whole staff are wearing these, because they're actually the most breathable masks you can get. I've tried out so many different masks, because usually you get a wall 6 hours into service and it's hard to breathe and you start getting lightheaded. But this mask actually works well. So yeah, that's some of the updates on my front here.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to hear. So hey, at Esther's, you guys had to close your bar?
Yeah, so we've been in phase 1 this whole time. We just took away all the bar seats and we just converted it into a full restaurant. So if you want to drink a cocktail, because we're really famous for our handcrafted cocktail, you got to sit at a table and get some food. And all of our bartenders, they used to be serving people at the bar and making sales there, but we did a full tip pool, so everyone's getting paid about the same. And it's working really good, actually. We're very efficient, and sales are definitely down, but I think we're going to be able to adapt. I think there is a way to adapt. And I think this is also how these bars need to operate. If everyone's upset about this bar closing, it's well, think about what were you really offering to the community and how essential was your business? All you're doing is people are gambling away their paychecks at a machine, and you're pouring Bud Light on draft. You're not really providing a meal. You're putting some chicken wings from U.S. Foods in a fryer. There's not really a craft kitchen associated with these gaming bars. So it's controversial to say this. I don't have any probably backlash for that, but I don't feel like that shit's essential. You shouldn't need to be going to a bar to escape your troubles and drink away and socialize. That's just what's spreading. But I think it's a little bit different ballpark for a restaurant that is open for lunch, that has to serve people that need to eat. We're right down in the heart of downtown. We get a lot of city people. We get Metro Police. We get all kinds of people that come in, politicians. The mayor came in a couple weeks ago. So these people, they're working in these buildings and they don't have a kitchen. How are they going to eat their lunch, in their long? So I think these are kind of essential, serving lunch and dinner, 7 days a week. That's pretty damn cool of us to do that. We do our best to do it. And we're still open for brunch, and it's funny because brunch is just like food for entitled people. Like really, it's one of expectations. It's 115 degrees out, and I had the section in the patio yesterday, and it was crazy because it's so hot. I didn't want to be there. No one wanted to be there, obviously. So literally every party that walked outside, because we're full inside and we had a bunch of reservations, and our dining room that's literally cut in half with tables, every table walked out and be like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. Isn't there a table inside? It's like, yeah, you and everyone else, like that's just where we're at right now. It's just, I know you're hungry. We're doing our best. But like, we don't have that many seats, and you want your brunch, yeah, you could go somewhere else. But who else in the downtown area is serving like an Esther-style brunch where you can like get in and out for like 20 or 30 a head and get really fed and get a little bit of wine or a cocktail? Like that's a damn good service I think we're providing to our community. And so I think if more of these gaming bars are willing to provide this kind of service, then perhaps their business is more essential, and they don't need to bitch and moan about being closed.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I know that there's like the bars that have restaurant licenses are able to stay open, but I don't know. I saw Derek from Rebar. He was on the news kind of complaining about those bars being open still, because I think Rebar, they closed, but they adopted a new model. So even if they have to close or reopen, they're able to keep the business pumping for themselves with their their curbside pickup.
I'm more like the gaming bars. So it's like, same with the gaming bars. They are all over the valley. You go to the PTs after work or whatever to unwind, and PTs does like serve like a need. And like, there's not a lot of 24-hour restaurants. It used to just always be such a 24-hour town, but where are you gonna go eat like really late? Like it's like Roberto's, or you would go to PTs and you get like a burger or wings. But I think it's all about something. You got to give a little bit more than just being a gaming bar, and that's cool that Derek and Rebar were like taking that initiative and being like a marketplace and serving that. But it is a little bit of a food desert down here. There isn't really a marketplace, so I guess there is a space for that in this space. People do live down here, but it's not something that I'm going to go to. I'm gonna try to go into a market very seldomly. Just go to a supermarket where I can get all the produce I need, or go to the farmer's market. Just like go to work my shift, and just get home. And I think we get more into that mindset as opposed to like, I'm bored, I need to socialize. So we got to get past that, man. Just apply yourself and find something to do at home.
Yeah. Or, well, outdoors is kind of difficult right now with how hot it is here in Vegas, but
everyone and their mother's probably going to Mount Charleston. I've been craving going up there, but I also just have a feeling it's just going to be a massive amount of people.
Well, if you go in the middle of the week, it's actually pretty good. Yeah. So that's
probably what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I'm thinking about going on a little camping trip up there.
Cool. Maybe we'll have to do that.
We can cook up a nice meal on the barbecue there.
Yeah, you are quite the chef nowadays, so.
Yeah, and you're asking where can you go get a meal at midnight in Vegas now? It's like, come to my house. That's when I'm eating my dinner.
Yep. The little side hustle, meals to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. If that side hustle could actually work. Legally.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. Like at Esther's, we have one of our chef de cuisine. His side hustle is that he makes a bunch of hot sauces. And he makes awesome hot sauces, and he just sells it to the staff for $7 a pop. Now, legally he should have organized that with an LLC and gotten the whatever certifications, but he just bottles it. Like dude's keeping it clean, and like just sells it to us, and it's great.
Yeah.
And then I like that idea. I like to cook and make smoothies and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, maybe there will be more of that with the shutdown.
Yeah. I mean, maybe even just marketing to your own close network. I saw someone, a pastry chef, that was doing that at the beginning of the shutdown. She was like promoting cakes and baking desserts, custom desserts for her friends. Maybe there is a way of just like marketing to your close network so that you don't get in trouble, with the health department.
It's like there's so many things that the authorities should be worried about. That's like one of the last things they should be chasing people down for or something like that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, so Wednesday morning, Take It Easy is opening up, having the ribbon cutting ceremony. If you're not busy, 9 a.m. Wednesday morning, we should meet up there.
You got your tea in there, huh?
What?
You got your tea in there, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, I work lunch, so I got to be there at 10 at Esther's, so that won't work. What part of town is it?
It's in Chinatown. Yeah, at 9 o'clock. It's at 9 a.m. You can swing by there on the way to Esther's.
Okay. So maybe.
Early morning.
Yeah,
but we'll get all matcha'd up because they have a bunch of matcha drinks there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're making all these cool like matcha and coffee cocktails, mocktails.
Yeah, I think they're going to do well. And I just met Kim from Main Street Provisions. That's going to be opening, she told me like late August, early September. And then Vinny Rotolo's got his Good Pie. And that's all like really close to Esther's. It's
cool.
Like a block away.
Great.
So we got those openings to look forward to. So I'm really happy for Josh, who's also part of the Arts District. So Vesta's the one coffee institution, and Makers and Finders is the other one, a block over.
Yeah.
And now he's got a new space in Chinatown, which I think is going to do really well. So it sounds like it's some good ideas.
It's a tricky location, because he's it's in the long Chinatown strip, like where Golden Tiki and Lee's Sandwiches and fucking Long. But it's not on the front strip. It's like in the back, in some of the back alleys. So I think at first there's going to be a little confusion about its location. Kind of like where Tila used to be. You remember we used to be in the back? Yeah, okay. It's over there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so Wednesday at 9 a.m., that should be exciting. I'll probably be like live streaming from there and checking out all their matcha drinks.
They have the brunch service at Stove, right? That was us when it first opened.
Yeah.
We went to the Stove.
When we went there.
So I think it's like a ritual. These like brunchy places open. We're there. We're the first ones there.
Yeah. Especially like during a time like this, seeing a brand new restaurant open during a time like this is exciting, because there's so much uncertainty. But there is another coffee shop opening up downtown at the Arts District at the Share Apartments.
Jeez, so much coffee down here.
Yeah.
There's also one in that little pastry school building.
Yep.
There's the pastry school at the top, and you have the Berlin bar down there, and then there's a coffee place. I haven't even been into that one, but it's kind of wild. A lot of coffee down here. Yeah,
it's good. I mean, coffee is good.
Yeah.
People like it, and the Share Coffee, they're not a roaster, so like Vesta's a roaster, they're really focused on their roasting. And actually the new, the Take It Easy in Chinatown, they're also a coffee roaster. They have a big roastery there. But the new one that's opening up in the Share Apartments, that is more focused on like the barista experience. So actually the head barista from Makers is now at Golden Fog, and so they're doing really elevated, coffee preparation, and then they're going to have a very elevated tea program with, like the higher grades of tea. I think they're going to have like Rogue Way and like the higher end teas.
Cool.
Versus
that's really the first time that's happened in this city. To an extent where they can be able to serve volume and variety of really high-end quality teas. So I think Lucky Dragon was really trying to be so specialized with Gongfu Cha, wasn't really able to translate that into service and getting that out there to people. And then I always go back to, Publicus, even though it's not your tea, and I wish it was, their tea's pretty good, and I like the way they serve it. They do multiple steeps, and they give you a good amount. And I haven't been over there in a while, but that was always my tea place back, years ago. So I'm excited that people are actually going to take tea seriously and have a wide variety. Tea that I've always wanted to see in a place. That's exciting.
Yeah. They'll be doing some cool iced tea drinks there too. And I think that's another trend, to like kind of go away from iced tea being like a big batch process, and it's just like this commodity thing, you just get a cup from this big batch, to being like handcrafted. So like brewing it in small batches and then like shaking it like a cocktail to ice it and add in whatever syrups or fruit flavors or whatever flavoring you want to it. I think they're going to be doing a lot of that.
I mean, the premise of this is also it's full menu, correct? Like it's got a pretty big menu, so you're going to be able to eat food. And then, what are the hours? Is it open for dinner as well, or is it just like lunch and brunch?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. I would think only like daytime hours, especially in a location like that that's kind of isolated. Yeah. But
stuff. If you can feel open for both services, then you can people that find you through Yelp that are really looking to eat. And I think Josh learned that with this space. It's like being like a freestanding restaurant here in the downtown area. There aren't a lot of them that are open for like lunch and dinner, and he's doing that over there.
Yeah.
Kept expanding the menu. The empanadas were really good. So I think it's he's more prepared than ever to just like do an even more interesting concept. So I'm excited to check it out.
I don't think that it's a full menu. It's not like a sit down. Okay. It's more of like a casual like I think the food options they will have will be more like snacks. So like they're gonna have empanadas, but as well as desserts like pastries, Colombian style pastries.
You might not even want to have a dining room. You might have dining room service banned like next week. So it's probably the right move. That's probably the right concept right now.
Yeah.
Survive. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty hopeful. I mean, our COVID numbers look like they're, going down finally.
Yeah.
I think we still have yet to see our, death numbers really manifest from this.
The problem is we have people that live in this town that don't necessarily have money. They don't want to spend money right now. They don't know when the bailout's going to come because we only have really just so hospitality oriented. Everything's based around. So like, who really has the money to spend right now? So that's the major thing. Is like people that are going to come in the door to patronize you that are willing to spend money. So I hope that there's some economic relief to people as all the unemployment's running out in July. So round 2 of that, it needs to actually go to the people this time and not the corporations.
Yeah. But the corporations, they'll get it to the people. Don't worry, Paul.
Huh?
I said the corporations, they'll get it to the people. Don't worry.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I just see the Vatican Church got like a few billion, like $7 billion in COVID relief funding. It's like, really? They don't have enough gold and artwork they can't sell off to cover that? It's like, come on. So it's just, I just hope there's not more of that nonsense when there's a round 2 of bailouts.
Yeah.
It's going to have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, well, this has been fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming and keeping me company here. I would have just been by myself either way, but hopefully we can get this rolling a lot more.
Well, it's a little tricky because I find your stream on Facebook, and so I would love to be able to like click a button to just join from Facebook, but I can't really do that. I know that I have to call in through your Zoom, and I'm not like a big Zoom user. Mm-hmm. So I try to click on it. They're like, "Oh, you got to update the software." And I forgot my password, so I do all this, and then they changed the way the buttons were from when I was going on before to get the audio going. So I don't know. Tech is always a learning curve, but
well, it's possible. I mean, Facebook has the meeting rooms now, so maybe what I could do is test out. Meeting in the meeting room through Facebook and then streaming that, because a lot of people, they want to interact with this content, not, directly like this. They'd rather just watch a stream of it because, like it feels safer that way than.
Well, that's where the dialogue is, man. It's some cathartic stuff that's going on in that Vegas bartenders and servers Facebook page. It's pretty crazy. I think I sent you a screenshot of the one where the dude just scathing review of the governor and just like, points out a lot of the rightly so corrupt practices that have been going on, like misappropriated funds over the years. There's a lot of promises that the cannabis money was going to go to the schools, and that didn't happen. and then the Vegas strong funds got mismanaged. So there's actually legitimate criticisms that he brings up. It's like, this is stuff that people never talk about. And then the fact that, well, casinos still have a bunch of people congregating at the pools, but all the small business, independent people are just out of luck. So there's a legitimate gripe, and it got a huge response on there, and I'm seeing the polarization happening. So it would be interesting to engage with people that post like that. And I think that if you could just click directly through and join via Facebook instead of having to call in through Zoom, I think you're going to get people like that. So yeah, this is a cool trial. I love what you're on the verge of. It's something cool.
Cool, Paul. Well, hey, thanks for calling in and giving us an update of what's going on there at Esther's. I'll let you get back to work. I don't want.
Yeah, so please come on into Esther's. I'm there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm working mostly days now. And then I work Sundays sometimes too, maybe a brunch or a dinner shift. But, pretty full time. Just trying to show up to work nice and healthy, get my sleep, eat as healthy as I can, show up with my mask, go right home. So, yeah, come on in if you're feeling like you really need to get out and get a good lunch. We got great salads and sandwiches, and it's not that crazy for lunch. And tables are spaced out pretty good. And the patio is misted, so if you are really worried about being close to people, you can always sit on the patio. And of course, it's 115 out, but if you get some misters, it softens the blow a little bit, and it's pretty palatable. So it is a pretty safe place to come and eat lunch, and it's right in the middle of the city. So maybe we'll see you guys.
Esther's Kitchen. Go support local, good quality food and hospitality for sure.
I'll see ya.
All right, bye, Paul. Bye, everybody. Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna tune out now. This has been a lot of fun. I'll be doing this again next week on Monday. Hopefully, I can maybe target some specific people to join me to talk about these issues and talk about this way forward to bring more consciousness to our restaurant industry and our hospitality industry. So I'm wishing everybody a beautiful, happy week, and I'll see you